You've heard the name, but do you really know what it means? BlackRock isn't just a company. It's the largest financial force on Earth, with more power than many governments. It controls over $10 trillion. It influences elections. It shapes public policy. And it profits from global crises that affect your daily life, without you even knowing. Welcome to BlackRock, the invisible empire that governs without being elected. Founded in 1988, BlackRock started as just another asset manager. Today, it's the most powerful private financial institution in history. It manages trillions on behalf of governments, corporations, pension funds, and banks. But what's more disturbing than how much it owns is how much it controls. BlackRock steers global markets, environmental policies, government decisions, and even geopolitical conflicts, all without ever facing voters, parliaments, or courts. BlackRock currently manages over $10 trillion in assets. That's more than the GDP of Germany, Japan, or the UK. For perspective, Apple is worth $3 trillion, Amazon about $2 trillion. BlackRock, it owns stakes in both, and thousands more. Some facts. It owns shares in 97% of all S&P 500 companies. It has investments in energy, tech, healthcare, defense, media, and food. It manages retirement and pension funds for entire nations. Every time you make a purchase, BlackRock is likely profiting. BlackRock has a cozy relationship with power. In 2008, it was hired to help save collapsing banks during the financial crisis. In 2020, the US Federal Reserve gave BlackRock the task of managing emergency pandemic funds. The same happened with the European Central Bank. It sounds efficient, but it's also the definition of conflict of interest. The firm that should be regulated is now inside the institutions that regulate it. And there's more. Former BlackRock executives now work in the US Treasury, IMF, and ECB. CEO Larry Fink is a direct advisor to leaders like Joe Biden and Emmanuel Macron. BlackRock isn't just an asset manager. It runs a global financial surveillance network. The system is called Aladdin Asset Liability and Debt and Derivative Investment Network, and it analyzes over 250,000 financial assets daily. Monitors 10% of all global financial flows. Is used by governments, central banks, competitors, and even sovereign wealth funds. Translation: BlackRock knows, in real time, who's winning, who's losing, and who's about to collapse. Aladdin is the Google of global money, only far more powerful and far less transparent. BlackRock shapes political decisions behind the scenes in dozens of countries. It pushes companies to adopt ESG, environmental, social, governance principles, while still investing billions in oil, coal, and defense industries. It's progressive when convenient, and a capitalist machine when it pays more. It also funds think tanks, attends Davos, G7, and UN climate summits, supports political campaigns, both directly and indirectly. The result: BlackRock controls capital, messaging, and legislation, all at once. In many global crises, BlackRock wins. During the 2020 pandemic, while economies collapsed, BlackRock's stocks surged in wars. It profits from arms manufacturers in climate disasters. It profits from reconstruction in recessions. It buys up distressed assets and profits during the recovery. It's the classic model of profiting from chaos because it can predict, influence, and capitalize on the storm. Chapter 6: BlackRock in Brazil, Africa, and the Middle East. BlackRock's influence is global and expanding. In Brazil, it owns energy companies, banks, and infrastructure. In Africa, it funds mining and energy projects under a green label. In the Middle East, it partners with Saudi Arabia and the UAE to manage trillions. In all these cases, it enters as a neutral investor, but quickly becomes a strategic power broker, because BlackRock doesn't need the spotlight. Its true power lies in invisibility. When there's scandal, it doesn't respond like a company. It reacts like a system, one that controls banks, governments, media, and even its own competitors. Ending plus call to action: BlackRock is the invisible empire of the 21st century. It isn't a country, but it governs like one. It doesn't own weapons, but it funds who makes them. It doesn't run in elections, but it helps decide who wins. And while people fight over left or right, BlackRock funds both and profits from the division. On the next episode of The Hidden Empire, we'll expose how big tech and the data industry are selling your digital identity to governments, insurers, and military agencies. Subscribe now, turn on notifications, share this with someone who still thinks presidents run the world. Because today, the world belongs to whoever codes the system.